Hello, I'm David Pacino, the Drunken Woodworker. Today, gonna show you this through inlay. It's a technique I learned from Scott Lewis at Fine Woodworking. I'm making a box, trying to make this box a little bit more interesting, and I thought, well, I saw Scott Lewis do this with a cutting board. Why not try it with a box lid? So, it's not that hard. The tricky part is the glue up. Glue up sucks. It does. Sucks bad. So I highly recommend practicing a couple times. I did here on this piece of plywood, and I thought, okay, not so bad. So I tried it. My first time, I screwed up. So, practice, practice, practice. What you're going to need is a router, a bandsaw, you can't see it, something to make your pattern with. Hand plane helps. And sanding, not so sanding, you know. Alright, first thing we'll do with our box lid is we'll take our template that we made on the bandsaw and we'll attach it to the lid, and we will route a 1/4 inch groove following the template, about halfway down. Then what we'll do is we'll take this over to the bandsaw and we'll follow that groove and cut this into 2 pieces. Then we'll go back to the router with a flush trim bit and clean up the edges that we made, and we'll have 2 perfectly smooth edges to join back together once we get our contrasting strips of wood in. So let's do this.
With everything clamped, we take our router with a guide bushing installed and a 1/4 inch straight bit and follow along the edge of the pattern. Next, we'll cut along the center of the groove on the bandsaw.
So next, we'll flush up the side here with the flush trim bit. The bearing will right along the smooth edge created by the router. We'll add our strips in here to fill the gap. You'll notice the reason you have to have strips the same width as initial groove that you cut is because these pieces, as you can see, don't go together perfectly. The curves don't follow each other. But we took a 1/4 inch out, so we're going to fill the gap in with 1/4 inch strips, and it will mate back flush.
Now we'll cut our strips. I'll combine 2 thin strips cut out of walnut and 3 fine strips sliced from maple veneers. To make them more manageable, I'll rip them all to the same width and cross-cut them slightly oversized at about a 1/2 inch extra on each side. Now we'll arrange them and get them ready for glue up. I'm using double-sided tape as shims on my clamps, so my wood strips can extend above the top and bottom of my piece. Note, I'm only removing the backing from one side of the tape. Now we add some yellow glue to all sides of the wood strips and sandwich them in. I'll temporarily use a quick grip clamp to get the glue up started and remove it once my parallel clamps take their grip. I'll use a notched piece of MDF to make sure my halves are lined up. To keep the halves level, I'll add some notch cawls. I made the mistake of making mine out of MDF. I suggest using wood to avoid bending. From here, it's all about finessing. As you can see, I had some trouble with the glue up and had to unclamp and reclamp a number of times. I suggest using a slow set glue for this reason. Once it's dry, I'll use a block plane on both sides to flush the strips down to the surface. And then I repeat it all over again for the second set of stripes. The old rinse and repeat. Now, all that's left is some sanding and we're all done.